Hello and welcome to the special show, the TATA First Dot, powered by the National Entrepreneurship Network. We're coming to you from the beautiful RV College of Engineering here in Bangalore. And over the next 30 minutes, we'll bring you all the highlights from the regional workshops to the mentoring sessions and the big award ceremony here at TATA First Dot.
This initiative from the Tata Group looks to support and accelerate high-potential entrepreneurship across the country. TATA First Dot, powered by the NEN, offers a decisive platform for budding student entrepreneurs, including regional workshops across 20 cities, with 5 more added this year. A national competition and a People's Choice competition to select the best and the most popular student startups respectively. A national conference and an award ceremony to promote these startups, and professional mentorship for top 30 shortlisted student startups for a year. This year, we bring you an exclusive glimpse of the regional workshops where students get a first-hand experience of interacting with mentors.
We're here in Hyderabad at one of the regional mentoring workshops, which are a crucial component of TATA First Dot, powered by the National Entrepreneurship Network. Going by the strong response in the first 2 years, 5 new cities have been added to the 15 cities which host these mentoring workshops. Clearly, there is no lack of the spirit of entrepreneurship in smaller cities across India.
Ankit Mishra and his friends are discovering that there are big opportunities among the million small and medium enterprises or SMEs. With their startup, Story Express, they offer SMEs a better online visibility with a video marketing tool. Ankit says events like TATA First Dot offer valuable insights to running a student startup and help connect with potential investors.
There is a famous saying in the Silicon Valley. They say it's not how you work, it's how you network. So the events like this provide the opportunity. There were experienced people from the industry who are investors themselves. They came for the event. So basically, we get the introductions to these people. So in future when we want to raise funds or even the mentoring, so it will help in the longer run.
I presume that all of you have an idea. Some of you would already be working on your idea. For those of you who have come, please pick up an idea, because we're going to work on an idea. So think of an idea and your dream idea, and let's start working on that with various questions and all that. So look at the framework. There are 3 important things that we're looking at. Who is going to be your customer, who's going to be your competition, and what are your competencies that you're going to have in your team. So there are all relevant questions in that workbook. Try and fill it up.
I have thought of it, but then did not go into detail. It's not only about the college thing. Since I'm interested in entrepreneuring, that's the reason I'm in ESL of thing. So I have some normal ideas, which is like just an idea. But I think I got an input where I have to, the way how I have to develop an idea and then make it into a entrepreneur thing. And what I know is business is pretty easy, more than studying a lot for MBAs and all of that.
Okay.
But then now I think more than getting an idea, putting it into action is very tough.
When you're looking at a lean startup, there's a new methodology where earlier we said, no, if you have an idea, keep it to yourself, then you work on your product and then release it dramatically. Now all those days are gone.
Mentoring workshops are designed to define, develop and shape the business models of the student startups. This is through a whole host of mentoring exercises like business modeling and interacting with investors as well as entrepreneurs themselves.
Such programs, what I saw today, the mentoring people, at least people make them understand what is entrepreneurship, what it will give back to society is what really make me change. It's a wonderful show, and of course I've been associated with NEN for a very long time. and this would give a way to a lot of people to understand what is entrepreneurship about.
Through this initiative, which is the TATA First Dot initiative, we have found that in premier institutions across all cities, if students are exposed to the challenges, the advantages, the beliefs which would make them entrepreneurs, and equip them with the right sort of advice, maybe some sort of mentoring at regular intervals, then we have achieved this goal of making this a better society to live in. Because in each one of us there's an entrepreneur. Many students often end up studying, doing something very different than what they actually would like to have done because of various peer pressure and maybe the needs of the society. And if entrepreneurs are allowed to grow in a way which is truly what they believe in, I think the Tata Group would have achieved this objective.
Well, it has increased much better in the past few years, and I think it has to really go still further. If you really compare ourselves with the other countries, and I believe that one of the causes for this is that these kind of sessions were not happening much, and I think Tata is doing a great job in terms of creating these sessions. But apart from that, there are many other programs like Startup Weekends, Startup Surveys, and these things are happening now. And we need to encourage the students to be part of this kind of ecosystem and try to do these things. That will bring in a lot of energy between themselves, and they can really understand what is happening in this ecosystem, and they can build it up. And one of the most important thing I see in terms of recruiting any of the employees is that there's a huge gap between a student and what an industry requires it. To fill in this gap, no matter whether he needs to be an entrepreneur or not, but if the student is going to be part of this, he really understands what an entrepreneur requires it and how we need to groom himself. And that's when he's going to train himself, and that could better for either side of the parties.
Startups like Story Express are now among the hundreds of nominations for the TATA First Dot national competition for Best Student Startups. 5 winners will be selected by an eminent panel of business leaders, investors and entrepreneurs. Contestants will also participate in the online voting-based student competition, the TATA First Dot People's Choice Competition. Winners of the competitions are then felicitated during the 2-day TATA First Dot conference. From interactive sessions with entrepreneurs to one-on-one mentoring sessions to an exhibition of the startups, the conference is action-packed. Entrepreneur Madan Padaki set the mood right with his energetic presentation on his journey as an entrepreneur and how fortune actually lies at the bottom of the pyramid.
I think we are a nation creating a nation of job seekers, and which is why I value the work that NEN is doing so much. I believe that we have to move away from being job seekers to job creators, because there are no enough jobs. If all the 20 million people came in and said, I want careers, obviously there are aspirations, but there's nothing to go around. And if we create a nation of job seekers, we are doomed as a country. How do you measure your net worth, not just only in financial terms, but about in terms of the impact that you guys have made, impact that your ideas have had on the society, impact that people look up and say, you know what, I'm living a better life because of him or her. And I think to me, that is the path forward, because as India as a country, we can't afford to blindly ape models in the West and say it's working there, so I'll do an e-commerce model here. Not that we don't need e-commerce model here, but we need many, many more things beyond that if we got to make a difference.
Student entrepreneurs also took to the stage to discuss their challenges and gain valuable insights from industry leaders.
We have the startup Ventec, which is an engineering, procurement and commissioning company in renewable energy sector. Now for selling, it's a big investment in solar. So whenever we approach customers, they demand that show me your experience. So how do you do that and convince the customers?
They are apprehensive because of the risk that they see.
How do you reduce the risk?
How do you structure a commercial arrangement where there is a risk reward?
Correct.
Right? By which okay, yeah, naturally the guy will take some risk, but then
how do you minimize that?
How do you minimize that risk? So the concept of risk reward models is the one which which is prevalent, to acquire that first key customer of yours?
The problems that right now we face is we want to be more efficient. We want to go to the next stage. I have a captive market. I know the people who I'm selling. But the thing is, I want to be more efficient. I want to go to the next level called ERP. I want to implement ERP in my store. And there are also another problem that we face. We face unwanted and unnecessary attention from our course students, from our staff, and as the management on the whole. The management actually supported us, but now when we start to make money, then again there's a problem with our course students and with the staff. We want to avoid that envy and the jealousy.
If you want to scale it up, then obviously your sphere of work has to shift beyond where you are. As soon as you shift beyond that, the envy part disappears, in a manner of speaking, that you are independent. It appears to me on the face of it that you are significantly dependent on the fact that you have a facility possibly at the campus, and you are making use of the campus resources. And when you are making use of those campus resources and your facility, then they will give you, so to say, they will expect you to be either non-profit or a low-profit organization, nothing beyond. So if you think you have you have got a model which can work with lesser dependence on the campus itself and the campus resources and can be self-sustainable, then you have to think of going beyond the campus, both to a different set of markets and in terms of non-campus markets.
So that was all the action from the panel discussions. But coming up after the break, we catch up with all the budding student entrepreneurs to get a sense of the challenges and opportunities of being a student entrepreneur in India. We also catch up with K. Sri Krishna, Executive Director at the National Entrepreneurship Network, to get a sense of the ecosystem here in India. Do stay tuned to NDTV. Welcome back. You're still watching the special show, the TATA First Dot, powered by the National Entrepreneurship Network. And I have a whole bunch of budding student entrepreneurs with me. Guys, thank you so much for talking to NDTV. Take us through your experience of being a student entrepreneur, the challenges that you go through to finally becoming a company, really.
I'm Nikhil Futara from Mysore. My venture is iPrint 3D, and this is my teammate Gaurav. So basically we are into 3D printing, which is a relatively new technology, and we are building our own 3D printer and as well as providing 3D printing services. Challenges that we faced mainly, coming from a small town like Mysore, actually getting the kind of support to start up and things like that. So that was one of the challenges, and definitely being a student entrepreneur, you have to deal with college, you have to deal with friends, family. So the whole juggling the different roles is a big task for us.
Sure. You're from Trivandrum, still a small city. Take us through the startup ecosystem there, and how challenging is it to start up something on your own as a student?
So my name is Arjun. My startup is Decide Quick, which is a social media decision-making startup. It's an online tool. And as a student entrepreneur, it's very difficult when we have to communicate with a team that's not comprised of students, team working behind desks in the office. So that's one of the main challenges that we face, one founder being in office and one founder being in college.
Living in Pilani itself was a challenge. It's an isolated place, but people there are really enthusiastic about entrepreneurship. So what we did was we saw a lot of NGOs working there, and we started talking to them like what kind of problems they face, and we narrowed down that all the social enterprises currently are facing this problem of documentation and assessment of the programs which they are having. So living in a village sort of thing, we turned that problem on its head, and we started focusing on solving these problems. Currently we are developing mobile-based applications for data collection and web-based services for report generation and hosting those reports.
You guys are from Delhi, the metro, you see a lot of problems and you see opportunities as well. How did you manage to, identify that, solution or the problem and convert it into an idea, and then now finally be a student entrepreneur?
Okay, I am Puneet Gupta, and he's my co-founder, Praneet Singh. We're from MyEpoch. So we make yearbooks for students graduating from the colleges. So we have an online social platform where students can register themselves, upload their photographs, and write testimonials on each other. We would then print it, design it, and deliver it to the students. About the challenges we face are mostly of the recruitment. Students are not ready to work within a startup. Our target audience is students. So it's difficult to tell them to spend $500 on something important such as yearbooks. but they would spend $500 on a Domino's pizza.
You're from Pune. It's also a big startup capital like Bangalore. Lots of entrepreneurs around. The ecosystem in Pune for entrepreneurs is quite robust. What's been your experience?
Hi, my name is Levitt. My venture is Life Lab. So we make science learning fun and experiential for children from economically disadvantaged communities. So the couple of challenges which I would like to highlight is, one is the financial sustainability, and the second is having a great team. The teammates has to have share that kind of a passion to work in a challenging atmosphere wherein like you have to go into the schools which are underprivileged, dilapidated, and work with the teachers over there and try to make a change.
In terms of the events like this, the TATA First Dot National Conference, what do you hope to achieve at the end of it?
What I've seen is that it's a huge help for us because we get to meet around 100 to 200 like-minded student entrepreneurs, and there's a possibility of actually collaborating or finding a partner, finding a customer. So there's a whole plate of opportunities right there. So you have people who could mentor you, like senior entrepreneurs. So that way, events like this, tend to help us, and also if, for the general student who's attending this, looking at other people starting up, it will encourage them to start up too.
Tata is a very good, it has a particular brand overall, not in India, but in the globe. So Tata, if we take it as like, it gives a like global exposure to student startups like us.
The main advantage that I'm getting out of is networking.
There are a lot of investors, and we want to break into the network of investors around here.
You guys must be participating in other events as well, right? I mean, how does this in terms of differentiate itself from, is it because of the big Tata brand, or the other things that you really get from here?
It's different because of Tata. It also gives us a more national exposure. TATA First Dot, it adds to the credibility of the startup and also gives us a national platform.
Major advantage I have seen is for the three reasons. One is like the convergence of the diverse backgrounds, and it's a national launch pad actually. So it gives you interact with a lot of mentors, so you get enriched by their own key insights based on their experiences.
So how difficult is it to balance between being a student entrepreneur and leading a student life?
It's an interesting journey to quote actually, because you get to learn a lot during the journey, and that's really important because that is what you carry forward.
But is it difficult balancing it out?
Sometimes you have certain things you have to attend to, but then you get called by your family, or there are classes or exams going on, and then you can't focus on both the things together enough. So it is difficult, but you have to cope up, because if someone else can do it, why can't you? Right? So you have to be that passionate person.
Guys, thank you so much for talking to NDTV, and good luck with your respective ventures. Now, the National Entrepreneurship Network is a crucial part of TATA First Dot, and joining me now is the Executive Director of the National Entrepreneurship Network, K. Sri Krishna. Sri, thank you so much for talking to NDTV. If I can begin by asking you, in terms of, this is the third edition. Clearly, you want to make this as bigger every year. This year, what's been the big takeaway for you?
The two big takeaways for me this year. One is we are seeing much wider variety of startups from a larger number of cities. See, in the first year, we saw participants from 24 cities. Last year from 44, and this year from 64. So it has just been phenomenal, and some of these cities I had to look them up on Google Maps to see where they exactly are. So two things are happening. One, we are reaching out to a wider audience, and two, entrepreneurship is by no means confined not just to tier 2, but we are beginning to see in tier 3 cities. All of us want to see a higher quality startup, and we are beginning to see the beginnings of that.
Have you witnessed a change in the overall ecosystem for entrepreneurs, especially students?
The first big change we are seeing, and that is positive, is kids even in first year and second year are starting up. So the first thing is it's percolating down. So that's one in terms of the expanse itself. So while we are reaching out wider, so two things are happening. Because we are reaching out wider, certainly in some of the newer markets, still the nature of companies we see. So there is not one India where the ecosystem is uniform across. Sure. So clearly from the metros, we are beginning to see far more ecosystem input where the kids have seen other businesses. At the very least, they've seen kids who are senior to them start businesses. And so they've learned, right? The third thing is overall, of course, given the overall change in India itself about entrepreneurship, people are beginning to think about businesses. Of course, even today, kids still talk about ideas, but that transition is beginning to happen. The only thing I want to set expectation is 3 years is a very small time, right? I would love to be able to say, look, things have changed. Things have changed a lot, but we still have a long way to go.
Sure. Also from an investor point of view, because funding is also an important part of student entrepreneurs. From an investor point of view, has that connect changed for the way they see student entrepreneurs?
The good news is from the financial community side, they are beginning to take it seriously and look at it. But the truth of the matter is the student community is still not ready. The financial community in India still, even if you are not a student entrepreneur, looks not just for validation of the product or the idea, but validation even at the market level. And these are very, very early stage startups. So yes, they do need money, but that money is not going to come from the formal investors. Unless it's, let's say, biotech or in manufacturing, where serious capital is required.
Also, how do you as NEN ensure that these student startups stay the course? Because a lot of them may do it as an idea, you know, meet initial success, but later down realize the challenges of running it on a day-to-day basis.
So our goal and our focus, which is, are the kids getting equipped with the right entrepreneurial skills? And that starts from entrepreneurial mindset. There are three critical things we try to do. One, you encounter rather than us, whether us or the financial community telling them this is a good thing, when they hear from other entrepreneurs, this has been their journey, then they're far more receptive. I mean, then we are showing, you know, not telling. So we want to show. So one thing we constantly do is showcase ever younger entrepreneurs. So one, we ensure that people are armed with the right tools, and that includes the mindset. That is, how do I figure out, am I cut for this or not? Two, I'm constantly barraged, if you want to call it that, with stories that tell me, yes, I can do it, I have to keep at it. The third is, while these are inspirational, the nub of the matter is in doing. So how do they get opportunities to continue to do this? So there the ecosystem is, you know, are mentors available to them? Can they talk to angels and VCs? Regardless of whether the angels and VCs put in money or not, if they talk to the angels and VCs, if they talk to customers, have they gone and talked to government? Have they gone and talked to large customers, a PSU? So we try to expand their horizons. And really the need for them depends where they are. So at every stage they're going to need different level of support. And that's really what we are about.
Mr. Krishna, thank you so much for talking to NDTV. That's all we have for you from part 1 of the TATA First Dot conference powered by the National Entrepreneurship Network. But don't forget to catch part 2 of all the action. Till then, stay tuned to NDTV.